it gives me so much pleasure to introduce our founder, our friend, Reverend Doug Craig, who's going to talk about life is an inside job. Is that what it's called?
That's right.
Okay. All right. Get out your shovel. We're going to find out what's on the inside. Thank you, Reverend Doug.
That could be taken a couple of different ways to get out your shovel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard you talk about that.
Yeah. Good morning. How's everyone this lovely morning? Okay, well, before I get started, what I want to do is talk to you about next month. I'll be up next month for the last time until next spring, because I don't want to drive in the winter anymore. However, I'm going to come up on the Saturday, and from 10 to 3, I'm going to do a class here on Saturday the 26th. There's handouts out there that'll tell you what's going to be in the program, and also a registration form, okay? Now, a number of people some people have done parts of this before. However, what happened with me is last year I took the Basic Foundations course, which is the Basics of Science of Mind. Thought I'd take it again. I haven't done it since 1983. And then I took the Essentials program of Ernest Holmes, and it just stimulated something within me to redo this program of mine, because it was what I learned in the first 11 years of my journey while I was trying to recreate another person who could function in society at a different level other than what I had done for 17 years of getting what I want through manipulation, intimidation, violence, and all of that neat stuff, to try and do it a different way. And so it took me 11 years to be able to mine the inside and to make the changes that I needed to change. And through that experience, I found I had quite an interesting program, which I usually do the majority of the time one-on-one. Phenomenal results with the people that had done it over the year. So if you're interested, you can pick up a deal there and have a look at it. If you've done parts of it before, it's good to go back and revisit, because there's some excellent techniques that are all applicable to today's world. So that'll let you know if you got any questions there. My email's there. You could go to call me, whatever you want, and we'll see what we get. And it's 10 to 3, and that's inclusive, including lunch. So you pay the fee, but you got to buy your own lunch. But going to lunch with the group is part of the program. It'll be a short one, just over here to Leah's, and okay? But there's a real reason why we go do that together, because it'll be part of the program, which you'll find out about if you're taking the program. Because you won't find out till it's time to go for lunch and there's something special to do. So does that sound interesting? So anyhow, if you're ready for another step and you want some basic, simple stuff to do, to mine yourself, and I got a bunch of questions here I'm going to be talking about, and if it sounds like you, then you definitely need to see what I've got to offer. And if it doesn't, maybe you know someone that needs to hear that, and you could get it and take it and give it to them. Okay, so with that, let's just join together in consciousness to begin with an opening treatment meditation. And so as we go within to that secret place of the Most High, we come in touch with and aware of and know that there is that one eternal life that is God's life, that is all-encompassing, all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present. In fact, there's not a spot where God is not. And I am the center of my world, which is part of this experience called life. And I am in charge of how I conduct myself and how I guide myself and direct myself through this experience called life, and about how I manage the situations and circumstances I come in contact with. But most of all, I become aware of, and I learn how to manage my own inner world of mind and emotion. For I know that that is where it happens for me. That is where it's all created. That's where it's all released. That's where it's all experienced. Nowhere else ultimately except inside of me. Yes, it happens around me in the environment, but the real truth of the core of it happens within me. So join with me now in the declaration that I am an open, clear, and a free-flowing channel of this wisdom that I know of God. And I am willing to release and let go of any obstructions. So I know that as I take this into the silence of meditation for a few moments and into today's lesson, that my request is fulfilled. And so ever gently, I bring myself to that place right here and now where I have an open and receptive mind, knowing that what it is I need today is given to me. And that helps me become more aware of my experience called life, and that really life is an inside job. So I declare it, I give thanks for it, I accept it, and I know it to be so, and so it is. And so it is. So the topic is life is an inside job. And what I did was, for the caption, I put a quote. And I have two of my most favorite quotes I've ever come across in this teaching, and you're going to get them both today. And the opening one is from a book called Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. And I just absolutely love this. I guess it might be the accountant in me because he starts, what is your most important asset? So it could be the accountant in me that likes it, but I don't think so. And he says, if you carefully search within yourself, you may come to the awareness that your most important asset is the conscious control of your own life. Nothing else can satisfy or fulfill unless you enjoy the freedom that comes from the control of your inner world of mind and emotions. So today we're going to present some of the tidbits of wisdom that goes along to fulfill that quote. Because it is an inside job. Yeah, we experience everything out there, or so we think that everything out there is the cause of the inner experience, and that's not really true. Everything out there happens. How we choose to experience it is in our inner world, and that we have to remember is a choice. One of the things that is one of my favorite quotes, another one is, it's easy to say the correct thing all the time. The trick is to resist saying the wrong thing at the tempting moment. Has anybody stepped it over that line and said the wrong thing? Yeah, that was a big one for me. So what I want to do is open up with some questions. And I want you to just listen to these questions and ask yourself if it sounds like me at all. And if you're making these statements to yourself, I feel like I'm stuck in a rut. Has anybody ever? I feel like I don't know what's happening to me. The same old things keep happening to me no matter what I do. I keep attracting the same kind of nasty or negative people in my life. Do they still keep coming around? Yeah, every now and again. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere in life. I don't know what my purpose is in life. And I don't know why I feel angry at times. And then one minute I'm up, and the next minute I'm down in the dumps, and I don't know why. Anybody ever have that experience of being up for a while, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, you crash and you don't know why? And you're going along, and then all of a sudden you come out of it and you don't know why? And most people go through their whole life, and they never really understand that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, I'm going to talk about the art of being in control, which was last month's topic. However, I'm going to look at it about being in control and working with and understanding how our inner world works. And so that idea that I was talking about 1 minute I'm up and I'm down. And by the way, all these ideas and more are explored in depth in my program, okay? It's gaining an understanding and then having the tools and techniques to work with stuff, including how Spirit talks to me and how I respond. But this one, why does that happen? I have people come to me all the time and say, you wouldn't believe it. Things have been going so good lately, I can't believe it. I said, enjoy it. It won't last. Come back to me a couple of months later, oh, you wouldn't believe it. Don't matter what I do, everything goes to hell or maybe even further. And I say, enjoy it. It won't last. It never does. No matter how hard you try to keep the good there, it don't last. And no matter how hard you try to hang on and be miserable and everything, eventually it doesn't really last. You'll eventually feel some kind of goodness. Why? Why does that happen? Good and bad. No, it's not. Good and bad. That's the problem. We live in that world of duality. And we don't understand the nature of duality. So it gets back to quantum physics and the very basics. In order for anything to exist in form, because everything's made of universal energy, there has to be some kind of a mold, an energy field. We call it our aura. You know how you could just feel people's energy? If you put your hand close to them, you could feel their energy field, okay? Every energy field has a polarity for it to exist. We label it positive and negative. Take your car battery. You get all the juice out of the positive pole, but undo the negative, the ground, and you won't get anything. Both of them are part of it. So I call this the pendulum. And the pendulum swings. It just doesn't go tick, tick, tick. It goes tick, tock, right? Tick, tock. And so that polarity is a pendulum that works within us. And it goes up here to the affirmative, and then it swings back to the other side that we call the negative. And it don't matter what you do. You can't change the physics of that. However, through awareness, you can manage it. So when you're feeling really good, feed it gently with humility, with compassion, and with gratitude. And when you get it up, when it's here, it'll stay longer. Now, if you get real cocky and smug and egotistical about it, it'll push it away real fast. But it'll hold it up there longer, but eventually it'll come over here to the other side. And when it does, the best thing when you're in the heat of it is, shut up. Don't say nothing. Experience it. Don't act out on it. Don't feed the demon. Because when you feed that negative swing, you hold it up there long. You stay into it long. And boy, I tell you, some people get their teeth into something, and I got to tell you, it's like dragging a dead dog down the street, walking it. Some people like to do it till the bones are bleached white, but they still want that thing. They don't want to let it go. But if you do that and you see it and don't act out on it, don't feed it, then it doesn't stay there as long and it'll swing back. Always like that. You just think about it. Watch for the next month and see what happens with you. And through awareness, be really good over here, and on the other side, don't feed it. And see how the change happens. I call that the pendulum. And the other thing that's another important point in managing your inner self, if you really want to come to peace in there, is to work with, I call, and Anna and I do this, we do this consciously every day. It's called the 3 no's. Runs my life. I love it. No justifying. I don't have to justify anything. I don't have to justify how I feel. Anybody getting the point? Somebody says, well, tell me why you feel that way. What the hell? I don't know. I don't know why you... Do you know why you feel the way you do sometimes? You could maybe put it to words, but you feel that. So you don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it. It's just the way it is. Now, you could talk about it and stuff like that, but you don't have to defend yourself. Number 2, even more important. No blaming. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. The question that you have to realize and be aware of, I'm in that experience. It's not my fault, it's not anybody's fault. I'm there. So no blaming at all, because all you do is give your power away to some person or some condition. I remember at Unity one day, this lovely lady come up after the service and said, Reverend Doug, that was great, but when you said that, you hurt my feelings. And I looked at her and I said, dear, don't give me that much power in your own personal life. I don't want that much power in your life, except that when I said that, you chose to have your feelings hurt. It's a choice. When you do that, you empower yourself. When you put it out there, you disempower yourself and you put it on to people and conditions. Absolutely the truth. No blaming. And the biggest one of all of them is no attachment to outcomes. Anybody here got kids and grandchildren and you're trying to get something together and you got a plan and then at the last moment they cancel and stuff like that and you get at peace with it and it's okay? Anybody? Yeah? It's a job to get there, right? How about if you give somebody something and they throw it in the trash? Or they don't say thank you. How could they? Has anybody ever thought that? It's none of your business what they do with what you give them. Your only business is in giving the gift. No attachment to outcomes. My exes, all don't live in Texas, by the way, and grandchildren and children taught me that very well and gave me lots of practice and continue to do so every day. And it's just, oh, well, next. It's the way it does it, eh? My buddy Mark Victor Hansen, anybody ever heard of that? Him? Chicken Soup for the Soul? Yeah, yeah. And Mark and I talked before when he was writing that book. And after he wrote it, the first publication, and he was a published author, he went to his publisher, no. 8 times. All the publishing agents he knowed, he got the same answer. No. And he made the same statement, one word, next. Eventually he got this smaller publishing company that took it on, and they're multimillionaires now because they got the contract worldwide for printing all of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. The whole variety of them. We got them all. No attachment to an outcome. He just knew what he wanted. He was going to get it. That's it. Okay? So very important things. And one of the other things that's very important here is anger management. Okay? Now, that was one of the really hard things for me. So I got technique, skills, how to uncover what's underneath the anger. It's a hurt. What do I call that hurt? How do I purge it? And most of all, how do I validate it in the world out there? How do I make it okay to say what I need to say to be free from that? And of course, you know most of the ways you get anger, you know that, but there's a real subtle way that most people miss. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't think you have any anger, check this one out. If you have a reaction to anybody or anything, don't matter how pure you are and how peaceful you are or anything else like that, and how out of line and terrible they are, if you have a reaction, you got a problem. Okay? Because it doesn't matter whether it's a little zzzt or a wah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong, whose fault it is, who it isn't, what happened, what didn't happen. If I have a reaction, I have a problem. And that's called anger, and that's a clue. So just ask yourself over the next month, if you find yourself having any reaction, that guy that cut you off in traffic and you were going to say or do, if you have it, keep track of the number of times, because if you don't want those anymore, then there's a way to learn how to manage them and reduce the propensity of it. One of the other things that's very, very important in this journey, what I consider to be one of the most important things, is to be able to watch and see how the Spirit guides you. I am divinely guided, led, directed, and inspired by Spirit at all times and in all situations, and I am aware of this guidance, and I act upon it. Lots of times people get it and they are aware of it, but they don't do it because they're going to wait till later or the time's not right. People ask me all the time when they're working on something, when things start happening, well, how do I know it's the right time? It's simple, folks. If it's happening, it's the right time. Okay? Don't matter how big or small. And so there's these little subtleties of learning to understand and manage self, so that rather taking somebody out in the back and slapping around, you could sit down and talk to them in a manner where at least you could come to some type of an agreement, rather than making it work, if you know what I mean. And if you'd like to learn a few of those techniques, that's what I'm going to be doing. Ernest Holmes said, and this is the one, 5 Science Among Books Against the Wall in 10 years for this one, on page 282 of the textbook, my favorite, because it just rattles me when I'm not doing well. He says, stay with the one and never deviate it. Never leave it for a moment. Nothing else can equal this attitude. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that you don't know the truth at all. So when you get doubting and you're worrying and all of that, you know that this is talking to you. That's why I didn't like it. When things look the worst, that is a supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions to the operation of truth. When things look the worst, that is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. The person who can throw himself with a complete abandon into that limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. You get your meat into that one and your mind into that one and everything into that one and think about that one and work to that one, because that is ultimately what the goal of what I'm going to be doing is to be in that position. Easy to say, you say. Absolutely right. Because if it was easy to do, everybody would do it. It requires consistent, persistent application of spiritual principle and law, and a willingness to look in the mirror and see that what you see deserves it, is worthy of it, and is the best that you're ever going to get right here in that mirror. It ain't going to come anywhere else. And when you work with that, then guess what you get? You get a lot of real neat people that want to hang around with you and you want to hang around with, and all the others, they just kind of flutter away a bit. And so that's a choice. And there's a lot more in it. The one thing that is really important in this, and I do this, it rattles people's chains, but I tell people that Jesus didn't practice what he preached. Do you think that raises a little hair? And he didn't. But listen, Jesus practiced. He didn't practice what he preached. Jesus preached what he practiced. Look at the subtle difference. Talked about what he did, not what he was going to do or he was working on. Okay? And that's the same thing as us. We've got to get back into that place. And when we're in that place and we're willing to give up fear, doubt, worrying, and negativity, then that means we're walking with the faith of God rather than a faith in God. Because there's no doubt. And Ernest Holmes said, faith is a mental attitude which is so convinced of its own idea, which so completely accepts it, that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible. Before such a mental attitude can be created, there must be nothing left in this subjective state of our thought which contradicts our objective affirmation. Nothing left that of negativity in our subjective nature. And as we move forward, the one great thing about my program, which I really like, is I don't look for problems to solve. I don't look at any of that kind of stuff because it's not relevant. Set the tone. Get focused collectively in the 7 departments of life. Affirm what's good about me. Set some destinations and start working forward. I don't have to be aware at that time of any problems that I might have. Because you know why? If I'm doing all those good things, any negativity in me is going to come up and hit me right in the face trying to stop me. And then we deal with it. But if you go hunting for problems, I guarantee you got enough to last you the rest of your life. We only want to get out of the way what's relevant for stopping us from becoming or doing or being what it is we want to be and experience in life. So that's what it's all about. Right? That's why life is an inside job. And no matter whether you've heard this before or if you've done that program with me before or it's new, it's worth coming to do that because that's what we explore, and I guarantee you 100%, if you take the techniques and work with them, you'll be surprised at what is revealed and surprised at how you can handle it. For I know that life's an inside journey and it begins with each and every one of us, and I'll close with something James Allen said in Is a Man or a Woman Thinketh, either one. He said, man is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes that tool of thought, shaping what he wills. He brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. And so it is.